Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Bella with L'Amour Apothecary. So I wanted to come today and do a video for you guys about my journey in my tradition of Lucumi Santeria, which is also a branch of the ATRE. So how did I get to this tradition? Well, I like to think that my Ori, which is my own personal Orisha, the Ori is a thought of our consciousness. When we are about to incarnate on this journey, we're in Orun. Orun is the Yoruba word for heaven. And we choose a destiny in heaven. We choose an Orisha to co-pilot our Ori. We choose our destiny. So what does that mean, choosing our destiny? All of the issues, all of the things, all of the trials, all the tribulations, everything that we go through in life, we kind of choose that destiny. Some of us find that destiny again by listening to that voice inside of us that just leads us to something. We don't know what that something is, but we just know that we need something, and that's kind of how it happened with me. I, since a little girl, have always been kind of interested in certain things, metaphysics. You know, I used to play witchy all the time. I was always playing with people or creating these games where it was like I was playing with someone. You can tell me that there was no one there, because there really was people there. My Egun was there, my spirit guides were there as a little girl. You know, those imaginary friends that we say that children have are not really imaginary. They're actual beings that those children see. But because I grew up a certain type of way, I went into Christianity, and my first thought when I would ever have a problem in my young childhood, teenage years, young adult, was, ooh, I wonder if there's a spell to fix that. Or, you know, I was always interested in always studying things. And then I moved to Atlanta, which changed my life. So how does this work? How did it work? How do I get to Santeria? How did I get to Lucumi? How did I get to the Orisha? Well, one day I got up and I couldn't shake the feeling of needing something more. So I started going to local crystal shops, and I started going to different metaphysical stores, and just really getting into, you know, back into root work, back into crystals. Bought my first tarot deck. And so one day I was in a store here in Atlanta, and they happened to have some elekes hanging up. They no longer sell those elekes anymore, but at this time they did. They had elekes hanging up, and I was drawn to the yellow one, which is the eleke for Oshun. And when I went to grab the eleke, something stopped me dead in my tracks. Like, no, leave it there. But they did have a little card that explained what the elekes were, and, you know, had a little like 2 sentences on each one of the Orishas and each one of the collars that goes with that Orisha. And I stood there in that store and I Googled Oshun. And I laughed, because what I was reading, I was like, oh, that sounds like me. The way that most of y'all do. Y'all get online and y'all read what their children's supposed to look like, or how their children supposedly acts, and you're like, oh my God, that must be my Orisha. But something, may it be my Egun, may it be my spirit quadrant, something was like, don't purchase that. Don't go out here acting like you're a child of Ochun because you don't know. It's just something in me made me want to just go a little further, finding out what that was, because I'm a history buff, so I was kind of interested in the history of it. But I didn't take much stock. I wasn't out here like, oh, Chun called me and Yemaya called me like y'all do. That's just not how it went. I had, on a deeper soul level, had a respect for that. And being that I'm a very open-minded person, I ended up having a lot of respect for it. And even though, so I didn't run home to build an altar and all of these things, I just soaked in the information and I kept going on my walk. So then another day happened. I wake up and this feeling, before I recognized my spiritual gifts of clairsentience and claircognizance, I just had this feeling that I needed to get a reading. I needed to get a reading. And I started to look for different readers, and then I at that time wasn't aware of the YouTube, Instagram, tarot readers and things like that. I didn't know that there's this whole community on social media with these things. So what happened is that day I just couldn't let it go. So I ended up finding another metaphysical store here that happened to have an African-American female reader. So I booked the reading for her. With her, and that day I went to the store and a lot of things were happening. She was running late. She was this, she was that. I think it was Spirit trying to test me to see if I would stay on the course. And I was like, oh, it's fine. So I'm standing in the store, and this is the day that I bought my first tarot deck. I'm standing in the store in the lot in the tarot section, and I meet my former god sister. And you guys all know her, but I meet my former god sister, and we're standing there and we're talking, and we're just talking like old friends that met up at the store, right? And she ends up giving me her Instagram, and she's like, fill me out on Instagram, see if you like me, blah blah blah. And so I continued with my walk, and that night I ended up getting the reading with this reader. And then the Orisha introduced themselves to me again. So the first time it was through the Oshunaleke, and me looking up the research and just looking up what that energy was, who Ochun was, and things like that. But at this reading, we had the reading we're going through, and she says to me, you're a witch. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, you're a natural born witch. You come from, your ancestors chose you for this certain life. And I was like, at that moment, everything clicked. I was like, I make sense now. And I just started walking into that bruja, that, what I'm doing is a gift from Olodumare. What I'm doing is a gift from heaven. What I'm doing and the way that I feel about certain things is a gift that I chose. My consciousness, my Ori chose. So she ends up giving me in the reading a Oya candle. Because she was like, oh, Ochun, everybody want to be Ochun, 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 which is true. Everybody wants to be Ochun, but they have no idea who Ochun is. None. Ochun is more than a pretty color of gold and money and love and sexiness and honeypot. She's so much more than that. And if you people took the time to learn from elders, you would see that. But that is going to come in another video. So I ended up getting this, she gifted me this Oya candle. And I just started really going full-fledged in the energy and the learning, really. Whatever I could learn online. And with me, I take everything I read online with a grain of salt. I keep it in the back of my mind, but it made me, just the research or looking into this kind of made me want to find the people who were walking this path. So I ended up contacting, at the time she was just my friend, I ended up contacting my god sister again, and we went to have dinner and we talked, and she invited me to a misa. And from that moment, when I walked into a house of Ocha, and I walked into a house of the Orisha, I knew that I was home. The energy that I felt, I knew that I was home. And it was at that moment that I made the decision that this right here was what I needed. I needed the Orisha. And not only did I need the Orisha, I needed the connection with my spirits, the connection with my ancestors, because the ancestors are the first line of defense. The Orisha, you don't even got to worry about approaching them. They won't even listen if you haven't gone to your ancestors first. They won't even listen. So it's like a hierarchy in this thing. It's like your ancestors are first. In ceremony, in our tradition, everything happens through. The ancestors are Egun first, Elegba, Elegua, Eshu second, and then everything else follows. Without the blessings of our Egun, without the blessings of Elegua, without the blessings of Ifa, a lot of things won't even happen. So, you know, this is kind of the journey that I was on. It was like my Ori was leading me to certain things and through certain synchronicities of the path that I chose. And it has not been an easy path. Trust me, they have tested me. They are still testing me to this day, but they have been there. I have watched their manifestations in my life so much. And the biggest thing that I can say to you on this journey is that your relationship with your Egun, my God, it is the most, before anything else, before Orisha, before any Orisha, Loa, deities, before anything else, your relationship with your Egun, your ancestors. Egun is the Yoruba word for ancestors. Your blood lineage is the most important relationship that you will have when you're following the traditions of ATRs, be it Ifa, Santeria, Lucumi, Voodoo, Palo, the Brazilian, Cambole, the Trinidad, Shango coat, like all of those things do not exist without Egun. And I can't harp this enough. And my relationship with my ancestors, my relationship with the Orisha has brought me so much closer to my relationship with my ancestors. Like, I spent a good part of my day researching my ancestors, calling their names, writing their names down, so they know that they are first to me. Regardless of how the Orisha take care of me, regardless of how the Orisha manifest in my life, it is the relationship for me with my Egun that has changed everything for me. And it hasn't been an easy one. I don't have the same gifts as a lot of people, and mediumship that comes in all types of different forms. It's not just what we know online. It's not just, oh, clairsentient, clairaudient, clair this, clair that, clair this. Something that my godparents have recently taught me in the last few days is that your relationship to Egun is yours. No one can take that from you. You might go through some things on this journey with the Orisha. You might run into godparents that are not the best godparents. You might run into god siblings that are not the best god siblings. You might run into a lot of things. But the one situation that people can never take from you, whether if you run into a situation where you have to leave your spiritual house, or things in your spiritual house isn't working out, and people want to prevent you or tell you that they're not going to help you, and they don't, and just throw you off to the side. And I can say that because it's happened to me. And the Orisha told me that it would happen. And I didn't believe it. But the one thing that couldn't be taken from me was my relationship with Egun. So, I just wanted to do this video. We're already at 15 minutes. And just to let you know a little bit about my path. And I'll have more videos like this. And of course, we're going to start this Orisha series. If you have any questions on this particular ATR, the African traditional religion of Ifa, Santeria, Lucumi, leave your questions and comments in the underneath bar, and I will do my best to get those questions answered. If I don't have the answer, I will always ask my godparents, and I will always have that information for you. Just so you guys know, I am not crowned in this tradition yet. Shango willing, my Egun willing, I will. I'm just a huge history buff people, and I learned the cosmology and history of a lot of things. So please subscribe, like, follow me on Instagram at lemoorapothecary.com. Lemore Apothecary, must need a new website or something, huh? Lemore Apothecary online on Instagram. And I will see you guys soon for our Orisha videos. See ya.